how he is.
Wandering maybe, but purpose to him. He kind of has an interesting reputation. I won't get into that.
Fair enough. No reason to talk behind his back today. But,
Unless you want to.
well, maybe another time and with more drink. But for now, well, you have quite a few more people than I was thinking. But I think I'm more than willing to pay for everyone here to assist me in my exploits. I think right now I could go ahead and offer the lot of you 3 crowns every week while we try to work our way through Findel, out to Planters, and ultimately Delbers.
Oh, just a simple escort mission then, huh?
Well, maybe not so simple, especially when it comes to Findel. I'm sure you've heard all the nasty rumors out there.
Yes.
Ultimately, something's happening out there, and perhaps to the best of our abilities, we should try to make sure that Gerhard can do everything he can to put a stop to it.
Oh, of course.
What exactly that entails yet, I don't know, and Victor will just kind of shrug his shoulders. But I suppose we could go out there and find out.
Well, if the pay's worth it, we'll see you. We'll see you back in one piece at the very least.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. Living. And he'll go ahead and pour out a drink for everyone and give a toast to it.
Which, of course, they drink down and all seem to be a raucous bunch. That after the couple drinks, they start getting a little rowdy. But
Right, and the goal will be to go out perhaps like tomorrow or something, not just like rush out immediately or anything.
okay,
So they'll have a good time. We'll agree, and like I said, my plan is to go ahead and pay them 3 crown every week, and anytime you want to charge me for that, just go ahead and poke me.
okay. So, Are you taking anybody else apart from the group with you?
Uh, well, I have this group. Larender doesn't need to come just yet because we're going to deal with Findel first, and we'll just like come back for him later.
Okay.
Uh, and of course, everyone else knows what I'm up to, at least like among the player group, and I guess that's up to them. Like Berthold, you're not interested in going out. You know what my task is, and Mordrin, are you busy? What are you up to?
Yeah.
Mordrin is drafting a flyer that he will be putting up around the city, looking for skilled craftsmen and mercenaries to help build the road. He will promise, let's see,
You don't have to cover the
skilled
mercenaries.
craftsmen can say what?
So you don't have to cover the mercenaries.
Oh, okay, then never
The
mind the
armed
mercenaries.
forces are going out there to escort you.
All right, well, he's going to be paying the craftsmen 50 pence per day. The minimum is 20, the maximum is 66. So I figured a good high
Yeah.
medium would, get us more than we would get with the minimum. So we can get this done faster and just have to pay them less.
Okay.
And
Think that would. Oh, go ahead.
he'll put this up in both the human and the dwarven sections of the city that are starting to arise.
Okay.
But not the halflings. Pointedly, not those fucking halflings.
Oh,
So, you know,
halflings can only dig short trenches.
Like, you don't think you need even roads?
Look at some halflings.
so I think this might actually be a gossip check in its own way. So you can give yourself a +20 for it.
It's just something to point out that our master of crafts is pointedly anti-halfling. That's a third of the population, by the way, because the human population is like next to nothing.
It's a shame that the race riots have to start this soon.
That was a mistake on my part.
Yes,
Roll
and
for
it will
each of the
hopefully won't
zones
blow
that
up in
you-
your face.
Well, you'll be able to roll for each of the zones that you post the signs for. So is that one for the dwarves?
Sadly, yes.
Okay. And the next one's for the elves. Okay. Well, since you're not really skilled in this sort of thing, you think you write up a really good and descriptive looking for, and you make sure to use a bunch of language so it sounds like you know what you're doing, because you're not really sure about how miners work, but you think adding in some jokes in there is a good idea too. And so you put up the notes, and some time goes by. You do get, let's see here, let's roll.
Oh, how about that one? Do you see what's going on in chat?
You
About a
put up
third
like a
roll.
poster
Sure.
with like big red letters, no halflings, and every
Yeah.
halfling in town shows up.
Apparently.
Yeah. So, quick roll. Out of the about close to 4,000 people in the city, 8 dwarves show up, 7 elves show up. Yeah.
This road is not getting fucking built, by the way. You've got 15 people working on it. I said, let's
Yeah.
Roman style this. Roman style. That's thousands of people.
Yeah.
How far did you get? About a mile. That's pretty impressive for the 15 people you had.
53
53 halflings that you're probably gonna treat like shit.
They're like, oh no, I can't say that.
I'll make sure they get good food and good pay.
Oh, living up to that halfling stereotype. I see how it is.
Your
Halflings,
privilege.
they only eat
Your
food.
dwarven
Right?
privilege. But with kind of like the passive approach, there are some dwarven miners that show up, some elvish craftsmen as well, bone crafting and that sort of thing. But you get a large number of halflings who show up, who are kind of a cross between day laborers, but also miner and yeah, what you're searching for. So you do have a number of good off of, but maybe not in the proportions that you're looking for.
This will have to do for now, although he could try to drum up some more support by going and finding where people are congregating and asking around there.
Certainly as
to
the
supplement.
well, certainly as the labor who's in charge for that department, you can put the word out for just general laborers to show up. Make that emphasis to do that. So, word is kind of going on being built or building up forges and smithies and other sorts of metalworking, you could say. You can change that over to searching for laborers, but it'll kind of leave that project half finished.
Well,
As
we'll
it
need those
stands-
this to build Maddox picks and shovels and whatnot.
Okay.
For our workers who actually use to dig the road.
Okay. Well, the good news is that out of the order, probably about 10 or so forges are complete. A small thing either, considering how much effort has to go into making a workable forge. So if you order them to say, okay, yep, we need to start making materials, they will start doing that. And within, you start getting some picks and some shovels.
Excellent.
So do you just, what's your plan then?
We're going to need either an architect or an engineer. I'm not sure which one does road building to make a straight road that goes from point A to point B without getting fucked up.
Hmm?
We'll need at least one of them to plan the road, if not more.
Okay. So you're searching probably for an engineer then. So an engineer, let's see, I do think, yep, that is a career. Are you doing something that specific, like searching out for that one specific?
Yes.
Okay. What sort of skills would you have to try to find an engineer? Since your
I
gossip seems to be a little bit low.
That would be pretty much all I have is gossip, unless I could borrow Victor and have him help, but he seems busy on his own.
Okay. Well, do you have common knowledge dwarf?
Yes.
You could also consider rolling that, so it'll help you kind of figure out where they congregate.
Okay.
Where the, you know, you've got your run of the mill workers, but then you've also got kind of like a, not an officers club, but something along those lines. So yeah, with your common knowledge, you know that the higher and more elite status jobs tend to coordinate around several families, and of those families, you do know few that have engineering as their specialty. So rather than kind of just ask around, that approach seems to be a little bit more direct, and you are able to track down after several hours of meeting with people and getting contacts in order and calling in people out in the field, as it were. You do find a dwarven engineer. Let's give him a name. Ooh. Durak. Durak. He's he kind of enjoys drinking a little bit too much, but he's an affable sort who seems delighted that you've decided to call on him. I hear you, Mordrin. How goes the organization of the city?
Progress is going well. We are, says we're considering building a road to Planterns and then to Delvers, and we need a skilled architect, engineer to help us plot it. And we were hoping that someone of your caliber would be glad to put their hammer in the ring.
Ah, building a road, you say? Well, that's easy peasy lemon squeezy if I ever heard one. And here, let's celebrate this decision to make a new road and rebuild its lands with a pint of ale. What do you say?
I say that sounds like a fine idea.
He's already had a couple, but he certainly is up for drinking more. Pours you an ale and says, "Well, I can't wait to start. So when do you want us to move in on this?"
Out of character, do we have a plan of attack, or is this not yet open? Because I'd figure we'd want to get this started as soon as we notify both.
You're waiting on Victor to map it out and lay out the plan. Victor is laying out the route. You're building it, so you have to actually wait for Victor to give you the stuff. A map with the plan on it.
Okay, I'll explain. We're just waiting for our
Victor is Victor's the architect, you're the builder.
We're just waiting on our architect to finish his part of the bargain, and then we will get our part of the work done.
All right, that seems amenable to me. Let's so what's your labor? How many people do we have working with us?
You mean what we're paying him?
Oh, I mean, do we have? It's easier. Are there only 5 of us? Are there 500 of us? Are they human? Are they dwarven?
We have
Don't
a
tell me they're
contingent
halfling.
of. We've got some halflings. They say they're good, solid workers, and I do believe them. And I'm working on getting more dwarves and humans and elves into the mix.
I see. Halfling crew, huh? Well,
That's all that answered my summons so far.
I guess you got to work with what you got to work with. But all right. Let's see. We'll probably need to organize materials. We'll probably need to crews, and he starts coming up with a list of things that need to get in order before they start getting, out in the field and working. Which it'll probably, for the sake of brevity, will probably be about the same amount of time it'll take for take a look at what's going on in the village and getting back. 10 of the workforce is halfling, so.
Well, would that give us more time to drum up more workers, or
course.
was the? Yeah, I just didn't know if the totals we got from the rolls were all that we were going to get.
Well, that was before Victor sets out, so you'll probably have some time for when he's out in the field and when he comes back. Rolls. Or at least gossip checks. So, why don't we hold on that for now and then transition over to Victor, if there's no objections.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I object. That girl's too good for him.
So Fendel is how far away exactly? Like a day walk or what?
Yeah, it's probably about a day's journey away. Do you leave in the morning? Do you leave in the afternoon?
I think the goal is going to go ahead and to leave in the morning and do the walk across the day and probably like camp just across the river or something and then head in the next day.
Okay. So, getting out there, you leave early in the morning. Elven compatriots are a lot faster than you. And in fact, you kind of... Eldril is like, come on, let's go. You're moving too slow.
Oh, I'm moving so slow. Why didn't you just carry me already?
Do you want to convince her to do that?
You know what? Why not? I bet I could.
Okay.
Let's do a charm.
Your charm check.
Come on, would it really be so difficult?
Oh, you stink. Bathed, halfling.
Now, I bathe, once every 2 weeks. It's fine. It's fine.
Did you have some kind of weird sexual disorder or something? You smell like...
Nope, definitely not. It's just the ale from the inn. That's all that it is.
Ugh. She doesn't want to touch you. In fact, she's a little disgusted by you.
I didn't need to go around smelling like a flower anyway.
Yeah, that cleared up months ago. I used creams, but the travel over land is pretty quiet. When you approach the river and where the bridge connects with the road, make a perception roll.
Oh boy. Does it involve hearing?
Yes, you can add that in.
Alright, plus 20. Perception? Boop. Wow, that's just barely a failure. A lot of fortune pointed, actually. Because I have plenty of those. Let's give it another go.
Okay.
Hey, it worked that time.
Okay. Well, upon approaching the river, you see that at one point in time there was a squat and reinforced tower marking a toll bridge for this region. But since that has ensued in this area, it looks as though it's been completely abandoned, locked tight, and abandoned by the people who were there at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond the bridge, though, it looks as though it's still in excellent condition considering everything that's happened. However, the foot traffic that's normally here, you can see that it's covered with leaves. It's obviously been unused in a great amount of time.
Right.
distance, the village of Fintel, you can see, if you're to go over the bridge, you can see is a
Right. Not but rubble, really, aside from the one tower.
right. The tower itself, since you succeeded with your perception check, appears that it had been locked up and reinforced. There are some I guess, other types of wear and tear on the door itself, but considering how it's meant to withstand a siege or at least an attack, it doesn't look like it's been knocked open. It stands about 2 stories tall, is made of stone, and the door itself is reinforced oak with metal studs on it.
Well, if we could manage to get in and lock ourselves inside, that would be a wonderful place to set up our own little operations and be nice and quiet and within view range of quite a lot of things. Or at the very least, good to secure one way or another and observe the terrain.
Yes. It is 2 stories.
Okay. And of course we have the whole village to scout out eventually too. So, let's go ahead and start with the tower if we have the time of day.
Okay, it's maybe in the early afternoon, so maybe
Okay.
around 2:30 or so.
So we could go ahead and just start doing our cursory investigation. If it takes too long, we can always do it tomorrow then.
Mhm.
Okay. So approaching that tower, and you said it is like in the center of the village on the other side of the river here?
It's on so if you're approaching the village, you've got the tower to your right, then you have the bridge behind it, followed by the village off in the distance. On the far
Ah.
side of the bridge is where, or depending on which direction you're going, is where you would find a tax collector or a toll, or a guy collecting a toll for that bridge.
Okay. So it's on the Grimmenhagen side of the river.
That's right.
Okay, cool. That's actually perfect. Alright.
So, are you leading the way? Or are you having your elves do it, or?
I'm gonna go ahead and lead the way along with Eledril. And as long as we are not, like, spotting any obvious threats out here, we're just kind of approaching the tower and we're gonna check it out.
Okay. Well, upon closer inspection, you can see that, yes, it looks as though we're made to break into it. The lock on the door is broken, but it also seems to be jammed.
Hmm.
Stone around it is relatively smooth, but it's also not that high.
So it could be possible to climb to the top of it.
It is.
So let's see. So when it comes to climbing, I just gotta check for myself here. Oh, right, it's called scale shear surfaces. I'd have like a 13 on that. Victor is
Okay.
not a climber whatsoever.
Okay. Well, it's good that you have a contingent of elves with you, several of which do have no problem with tossing a rope up and shimming up the side.
Mm-hmm.
Up since she's kind of the leader of the group. Now it looks as though there's a trap door up here. It's also jammed shut.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. I guess one way or another we're breaking something, aren't we?
Yeah, it seemed that way.
I guess may as well come down here and we'll do it from the ground floor instead of up top.
Want to do it from the ground? I mean,
Well, unless you think you can, like, stomp on it yourself up there.
well, there's ways to open it. Well, if you wreck the door on the ground, I mean, it makes it harder to defend. But
Oof.
the bottom, we can certainly do that.
You're right. Well, let's go ahead and give it a try from the top then.
Okay. Do you? They do their own thing. They will have all of the group kind of go up there since you're not in
I'm a
a
dumpy
territory
little
that they're kind of.
halfling. I'm not climbing.
Okay. You hear kind of like a stomping slash smashing sound, as if they've got like an axe that they're trying to chop against it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, no, that's not going to work. Okay, tie it here and see if we can break the hinge. lots of time goes by, and they finally, okay, we got it open.
Hooray!
Off, and decides to venture in the tower. Maybe about 10 minutes go by, anything until you can kind of hear some thumping on the other side of the door. Somebody's yelling through it, furniture propped against it. There's dead people in here too.
So I'm just gonna like shout at the door. Guess they tried to hold out as long as they could.
Yeah, I think so. It smells like...
Well, if you can move it all out of the way, go ahead and give it a try. If you can't, just go ahead and pull away. No need to smell too much of that.
So you hear some shuffling and pounding and movement behind the door. You can see at the top that you can start to smell what smells like a dead, decomposing body or bodies. To remove corpses from the watchtower. In total, there's 6 of them, and it appears as though they've died, and they've been there for a while. In just a couple of cloaks and lowered down, just so they're removed from the tower. Goes by and they're like, we can't. The door is at the bottom is jammed. It seems as though that the mechanism that's connecting the door to the inner part of the wall is broken, shut.
Well, I guess at least nobody's getting in then.
Yeah, that's true. But nobody got out either. At least, not that they're alive.
Did you find anything while you were in there? These people have anything saying who they were?
Well, a prolonged search. Let's do that.
Yeah, once the tower starts airing out, and I guess Victor's just on the ground, like, burying these things while they're busy searching.
Well, they offer to have you do it yourself if you'd like. They can bury the dead if they want to have you come up.
Well, if you want to carry me the whole way up, then, well...
You can always tie a rope around your waist and they'll hoist you up.
A little embarrassing, but if you promise not to tell anyone, then I'll go for it.
Eldril kind of rolls her eyes. Fine, whatever. They pull you up, and the squat tower. You see a staircase around the edge and a spiral going down. And feel free to do a search check.
Oh boy. Search is something that I have, and might even be good at.
Yes!
So I'm pulling out my lantern, lighting it, and looking around the whole place.
Uniforms on the dead soldiers, or at least they're probably toll keepers, match the insignia that was on Graf Sternhauer's family. They were more than likely the craftsmen who simply barricaded themselves inside. Inside, you find 8 common crossbows and a plethora of ammunition. There's several strong boxes, bunks with space, essentially, but not a crumb of food available. They had the same uniforms, a leather jerkin and a skull cap that you would expect for these type of people, and they're also in good condition. But all the firewood for the fireplace is gone. Dank or not dank, but just really rotting, smelling, and disgusting in there. And after a few minutes, you kind of feel sick to your stomach.
Oh yeah, definitely coming back up for air with like a little bit of this haul. So you said 8 crossbows, lots of ammunition.
Yep.
Leather jerkin?
Leather jerkins, of which there are 6.
Alright, gonna mark that down. 6 good quality leather jerkins, those are nice.
6 skull caps. There were 6 soldiers, but it seems like they had 8 crossbows.
6 left skull caps. Okay. So, plenty of equipment, and that's really good.
Yes.
I assume all the ladies have their own arms, but if they're willing to wear some Deadman's leather here, there's some extra for them to armor up in for now.
Oh, their stuff is a little bit better fitted and a little bit better quality. They're not so
Alright.
much interested in it, but if you're the one calling the shots, I mean, it's your salvage, technically.
Right. Well, since they actually have equipment, they're not like armorless, then everything's fine then. I'll just go ahead and pack it away for the time being.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
at the
you
very
could,
least, if we needed a place to hang out, we could probably camp on top of this tower.
yeah,
And that would give us like good vision of the rest of the town to see what's going on.
certainly could.
Uh, but around this time, what do we see of the town from up here right now? Just more rubble? Anything kind of noticeable?
Sure. Well, from what you can see at the top of the tower, giving your vantage point, most of the buildings appear as in disrepair or just flat out destroyed. In the town, 3 large circular pits. They're lined with stones, and in the center of these pits is dried blood and large piles of bones. Right now, even from this distance with the stink smell that there's the scent of blood on the air. At this point, it appears completely abandoned.
Hmm. Well, I guess that gives us a little more insight as to what they're up to out here with that sort of description.
Generally,
No
yeah,
activity in the town as of right now.
correct. Normally, when you see camps and encampments of beastmen, you would find like lean-tos, tents. You'd see more equipment. There would be lesser versions of the. You'd see drays and umbres around the beastmen who are not good enough to go fighting, maintaining an
Right.
encampment. Presently, with Fintel, there is nothing. It's completely deserted.
Okay. Matches up with what we've heard so far, so I guess they come and go.
Hmm?
I guess given our current daylight hours, I'll go ahead and talk to Elendril and her Kith band here. And go. I suppose for now we should go ahead and try to scout out as much of the town as we can across the river. And then before it gets dark, head back here and maintain a nice, secure little position in camp with this tower.
Says, okay, that's probably a good idea. I'll leave a
If-
squad here,
Mhm.
and the 9 of us can go over the bridge to see what's up. I'll have the men make a rope ladder for you, so you're not stuck being hauled up.
That's excellent. And I might even suggest one of you might head back to town and seek out Mordrin. I think he might have enough tools to break a lock and repair this door. I don't think that would be too difficult of a task. If we can get him out here to do that, then this tower is all but ours.
Okay. Yeah, he's the labor minister, right?
That's
Yes.
correct. I think he actually has a place over with the rest of the dwarves. Somewhere over this and that, you know.
Sure. So, easily somebody who's important, even if they haven't dealt with him directly. She tells one of her who nods and takes off for Grimmenhagen.
Mhm.
Okay, since he's got some time to make up. But complete the as they complete the rope ladder, they toss it over the side, and 7 of you or 8 of you will go to investigate Fintel.
Yep, that seems to be it.
Crossing the bridge is at least 2 carts to cross. It's in, like I said, good repair. Disheveled, but otherwise in perfect condition. But approaching Fintel, hit by the scent, there seems to be something oddly repulsive about the air. You have the normal
Mhm.
scent of blood and of an animal, but there's also something reminiscence of sexual fluids that adds to the air and leaves you with a very deep sense of unease. Entering into the village, you can see that the main wide open area is where those 3 pits are. Buildings that are still in semi-states of ruin. Your objective?
Our objective, I guess, right now is to look for traces of the Beastmen, make sure that there's none of them in town right now, see if we can understand more about like their activities out here in terms of like how many come by, what areas, and such like that. And I guess
Okay.
in particular, how they might manage their foodstuffs and how we might manipulate that.
Okay, so make a search check. Or a perception check.
I'll go with perception. Perception's really good.
Okay. So you're just sort of
actually,
gathering
these are both the
information.
same, so doesn't actually matter, I think.
Searching, I think, is more if you're looking for something specific, but perception,
Right.
perception's probably your best way to go.
Okay. Well, I mean, unless it required listening, so I'm gonna go ahead and roll. Comes out really good.
Nice. With that many degrees of success, you search around the camp for a couple hours. Her Kith Band group stay together in groups and search through the remaining buildings. The buildings themselves appeared stripped down and taken for whatever it is that they might have had in terms of value or goods. The stones are still useful, but little else can be found of value. The general dispensation, the only things of note are the piles of bones that you see within the pits. You can see that whatever of broken glass and pottery, there are chewed up bones, there's cloth, teeth, and based upon the pits themselves, it looks as though there's probably been at least 100 or so people that have been eaten in this way. Scattered about the village, you do find and hoof prints numbering of at least a host of beastmen. Of note, there's again probably around 150 or so. The other thing of note is in the center of these pits, you can see what appears to be a large black rock.
A large black rock. All right.
If you approach it, you can. You're immediately assaulted with a sense of decay, rot, and sexual fluids. Scrawled all over this rock are the telltale signs of Slanesh, which you've encountered before at the harem.
Friendly chicken, I believe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I suppose that happens to be their altar, if nothing else.
Yes. Do you touch it at all? That's a good question to ask here too.
Nah, definitely not gonna go up there and lick it or anything. But I am going to go ahead and try to make a little map for myself about this area. And just kind of document, like, it looks like they maybe mostly congregate around these areas, maybe they sleep over here, and kind of, like, hope that maybe that's a good impression of what they might, like, do as a habit.
Okay.
Or, like, a future plan to bring back to, say, Gerhard.
Well, as far as, like, if they or where they tend to congregate, it's all kind of in a giant mass. They, as far as distinctions go, you can see a larger set of prints in the closer parts of the stone of the black rock, which are different set of hoof prints than the others. But apart from that, it's the village itself, for all intents and purposes, appears to be destroyed.
Right. Here, I guess it's mostly just documenting rubble piles and, like, streets that still exist and the like.
Right. But you are able to get plenty of intel on it. On the far side of the village, the road does continue on, heads south towards Untergard. It too seems as though it's mostly intact.
Well, that's good. At least they're not tearing that all up, but I suppose there wasn't much to loot about a road in the first place.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Well, this has been more or less successful. All we need now is really to know, when they're here, how long, and if we can go ahead and ambush them at that time.
Okay.
I suppose if we, I suppose we could always go back to Gerhard and form up a plan. But for now, I guess we're going to take the tower and stay the night there for now.
In that case, you head back over the river with Eldril and her group, climbing up the rope ladder that you have and settling in for the night. All of them are a little bit uneasy, and make a perception check, and you can certainly add sound in.
Okay. With that extra plus 20, I hear something.
Okay. Well, towards the eastern side of the village, over the river itself, you start to hear what sounds to be horns blowing and drums being beaten. As the hours wane in and the daylight goes away, the night gets very, very dark. Normally when the moon is out, it's a little bit lighter, but this far out in the middle of nowhere, without any sort of other buildings, it's very noticeably black. As the night progresses, the drums and the horns become louder, and you start to see what appear to be torches on the far side of the river. To be a large host of beastmen. As they cross the river, you can hear the sounds of screaming people, obviously under duress, shall we say, as the full host goes into the village and sets up a large pavilion in kind of the center of town. Some of you are suddenly very aware of your position and are a little bit freaked out. But do you decide to stay and watch, or what's the plan?
Well, we should be safe at this distance as long as we don't turn on a light and advertise ourselves or anything. But Victor intends to observe so that he can figure out how they're operating exactly and make sure that we have a full plan and full intel when we go back.
Okay.
He's not going to make any of them watch, but of course he could always appreciate the help.
Okay. We'll make another perception check.
Oh boy. This is just going to be using my eyes. My eyes are broken. I'm going to fortune point it.
Okay.
My eyes are really good, actually.
Ah, well, your eyes are good, but your ears are also good. And in this kind of large herd of beastmen, you can see that there is a minotaur who has a cloak that's made out of human skin about his shoulders. He leads the procession around the large black rock. As he kind of prepares, it looks like, for another ceremony, more heard, and you can also see, almost strangely, that appear to be, how's the best way to phrase this? You swear that you saw somebody that you might have even recognized from Untergard.
Oh, a many-armed winged person, I suppose, right?
No, as in regular peasants.
Oh, huh.
Says even. For the, I guess the best way to say it is, if with your time in Untergard, the number of people in the village fell around to about 75 before the expedition out of the woods began. However, you can see what appear to be faces of people who, at least at some point in time, used to live there. Part of the refugees that left for Middenheim. are confused and in states of hysteria and terrified about what's about to happen. And as you continue to watch on, the scene turns into a grisly display of the groups being separated, half being killed, and the other half brought to the black stone and forced to lay on top of it while the Minotaur conducts sexual acts upon them. Make
Right.
a willpower check, actually.
Oh boy. That's actually one of my lowest stats now. Everything else increases, just not that.
The extreme depravity and sitting back and watching it while people that you might have known as your neighbors be slowly transformed into mutants and beastmen causes your mind to break a little bit, and you gain an insanity point.
Oh boy. Brings me up to 2.
As you turn away and the night progresses and gets darker, the sound kind of turns into a large and repulsive cacophony of groans and screams as village. However, as you turn away, you also notice something else. In the trees lining the woods, you can see orbs of glowing light flickering in and out of the woods. And as the horrible nightmare situation continues in Fintel, more and more of these motes of light appear in the forest.
I'll go ahead and nudge Eladriel and kind of point that out. It's like, you see all that?
She nods. Let's see. Let's roll a D100.
Yeah. I'm just staring and going, what do you think all that's about? That happens not too far from Grimmenhagen. Is it happening because of this?
She kind of looks at it and says, evil spirits? Something. Maybe.
Well, I definitely don't want to dive into a herd of beastmen, but I almost want to get a closer look at those lights.
Well, the good news is they are away from the village. But the Beastmen would have to cross the river before you could get to them.
Right. But like I said, I was interested in the lights.
Okay.
Maybe
So
there might be more to them.
Go by yourself?
I will look around at the other elves and see what they think of the idea and if they're willing to come along.
They don't want to leave the safety of the tower. Considering there's beastmen out and strangeness in the woods, they are kind of looking at each other saying, we got to stay awake until it's time until first daylight.
Right. In which case, Victor is not going to head down the tower by himself into the woods after strange lights.
Unless you want to try to use your skills to convince them.
You know what? I'll go ahead and give it a chance to buck up their spirits and go, come on now. We're the vanguard here. We're seeing this stuff so that we can figure out how to get rid of it. We're the ones who are going to help make sure that this whole place is safe for everyone. But if we're going to do that, we got to figure out what those lights are and if they're connected to all this activity. So let's go ahead and roll a charm, I suppose?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh.
Victor probably trembling in the middle of his own little speech.
Well, they kind of look at each other and say, I'm not leaving this tower, dude. There's something duh. The sounds are terrible. I can't, They're just, D roll 100 here. Well, as it turns out, your intrepid elven friend Eldril has a little bit more stuff than her compatriots and says, I kind of want to know what they are too.
Well, let's give it a go together then.
Okay. Careful, okay?
And, oh, well, actually, she's an elf and has night vision. I just realized halflings have night vision, so we don't even have to light anything.
Yep.
That's perfect. So, time to sneak towards the woods. Get that rope down, and let's do our best.
Moving down the rope, slowly make your way to the edge of the forest where the lights are kind of out of the quiet of the dark, and getting further away from the terrible sounds and what's happening in Fintel is almost reassuring. The lights, though, they kind of twist and move around in ways that almost seem familiar, at least conveying some kind of intelligence behind them.
Mhm.
Another perception roll.
Oh boy. Alright, gonna go ahead and click and roll. That's a good one.
Okay. Well, as you continue forward into the woods, the sounds of the Fintel disappear. Get into a strange kind of muted sense of quiet, and instead you swear you can hear a voice inside of your head calling to your name. Dar.
Yes, Eledra, I'm here.
She kind of say that.
Did,
I didn't. What?
did you not?
Didn't say your name.
Are you sure?
Did
Because
you?
I thought I heard it.
She. No, I. She kind of pauses and turns to regard one of the lights, almost as if she's hearing something that you're not. And let's see here. Make a willpower save.
Oh
A
boy.
willpower check.
Failure.
Okay. So you have your eyes on Eldril, who's standing next to you. You kind of blink for a moment and a sense of vertigo, and in the next moment, she's completely gone.
Uh-oh.
Um,
She doesn't happen to be seen, like, entering the forest, like, far ahead of me, right?
you look around and realize you're kind of standing there by yourself. Lose yourself for a moment, and you realize you're standing out in the woods, and behind you, river anymore.
Say that last part again?
You don't hear the sound of the river anymore.
Huh. But I'm still there. Are the lights still there? Are they still moving?
Yes, they're off in the distance and they're kind of dancing around. And you hear your name again, Victor. Victor?
Huh. So I guess Victor might say, like, kind of out loud, it's like, what kind of trickery is this? Maybe that voice will end up responding with more than just Victor.
Oh, doesn't seem to answer when you respond to the with sound.
And I guess as far as appearances goes, there's not even, like, a, track of, Elendril leaving or anything. She's just not there anymore.
Yep. It's almost as if it clouded for a second, you blink, and suddenly she's not there. It's almost like you've just got jolted somewhere else.
Is there, like, maybe a small tree or something wooden nearby for Victor?
Of course.
Victor's gonna go ahead and knock on it 3 times.
Okay. Knocking on it 3 times causes the to change a little bit different pace, and they kind of move around a little bit more erratically. And for a second, you hear the river again. It's like you sleepwalking.
Hmm.
You can hear the river behind you again.
And still no Elendril.
You're not sure. You could certainly make a perception check.
Let's give it a go. Hey.
Okay. Well, you look around and you can still see the lights. You can the river again. You as you move around a bit, you can kind of hear footsteps. But you're not sure where they are, and turn around again. You can see some lights in the distance, back to where Fintel was. Sounds of before are still not there.
It's just getting a little weirder and weirder.
What do you do?
I'm actually not sure what to think. So you said the lights from Fintel are coming, or
Well, it's the with the Beastmen herd there. They had torches and other sorts of bonfires going, but these don't seem to be the same lights. Not spaced out correctly. They're a little bit too high in the air. They're a little bit too orderly.
interesting. Well, if they're spirits, then I guess these are them then.
What do you do?
Uh, I'm actually gonna go ahead and try to call out for Elendril. Uh, and just kind of go, Elendril, if you can, if you're out there, try knocking. Knock on something. Whatever's happening, you have to.
You actually, when you call out like that, you do hear a voice in the distance say, "Hello? Somebody out here?" Sounds to be like a young man's voice.
And that's coming from the woods?
Coming from the direction of Fintel.
Oh dear. Well, if something from Fintel is coming, it might be about time for Victor to actually try to hide.
Okay. Make a concealment check.
Oh boy. I'm actually really bad at that. But I'm so good at everything else, I can be bad at it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
find a bush just my size and shape.
Yes, and there's some fallen trees that you sort of conceal yourself in and pull your cloak about yourself. And moments, and you start to hear footsteps getting closer and closer. And peering out from your vantage point, you see a young man, maybe no more than 15 or 16, with a short hunting bow. Kind of says, "Hello?